Commissioner Begic,
Here.
Commissioner Coonan,
Here.
Commissioner Herrick,
Here.
Commissioner Ryder,
Here.
Lutz,
Here.
and Chair Durancheck.
Here.
All members present.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord God, our Heavenly Father, Master of all creation, we come before you this afternoon seeking your guidance, wisdom, and direction. Lord, we ask that you will lead and direct this board to work for this county. Grant them knowledge and understanding of the needs for this community. And Lord, we ask that you will give this Board of Commissioners the strength and dignity and honor to work for the common good of all. Amen. And the pledge.
Pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance
to
to the
the
flag
of the United
of the United States of America,
to
and to
the
the republic
For which it stands,
for which it stands,
one
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible.
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty and
Justice for all.
for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Minutes of 4/14/2020. What's your pleasure?
I'll move them as presented.
Support.
We have motion and support. Roll call vote, please.
We start the roll call today with Commissioner Krieger, please.
Yes.
Begic,
Yes.
Coonan,
Yes.
Herrick,
Yes.
Ryder,
Yes.
Lutz,
Yes.
Durancheck.
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays. Motion carries.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have citizen input. Anyone out in the audience? Hearing none. Petitions and communications? Don't have any. Reports and resolutions of committees. Ways and means. Tom Herrick, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I bring before you resolution number 2020-91, the extension of the local state of emergency to access COVID-19 budget stabilization funds for emergency use. I move that resolution.
Or
We have motion and support. Comments, Commissioner Coonan?
Thank you. You know, I know we allocated, I think, $150,000 for that. And this is the second month. Do we ever get to see any documentation on how those dollars are being spent?
We will. Jan, do you want to prepare something? I think it's been about 15,000 so far, Jan, that we've approved.
Yeah, so far we have a sheet going and we've spent about 86,000 altogether, but that includes all of the grant monies too. So of the 150,000, we don't have a good number yet as to how much we've actually spent. It is probably roughly around 15 to 20,000 because we'll be actually taking those funds and charging the grants whatever we can first.
Yeah, there should be reimbursable expenses. And hopefully, some of what we're paying for will be reimbursable, hopefully.
Correct.
Any other comments?
Yes, Vaughn. Yeah. NACO's still lobbying for county direct assistance. I don't know if it's going to get through or not. There's a lot of pushback in the Congress of direct assistance to the states and counties. But NACO still is asking. You may get another email from them saying, contact your congressman. So to get direct aid to the counties. I know there's other things coming in through FEMA and stuff like that, but there still is a push to get some local funds, but supposed to keep track of everything like you're doing.
Yeah, there'll be another stimulus bill. Hopefully, state governments and counties will be included, as the cities were in the earlier version of CARES. I just want to make sure if there's any media, following the meeting. Again, this does not in any way comport with the governor's executive order relative to stay at home. This is simply a tool for state county government to hopefully respond quicker and more efficiently as needs have come up. And so far, everything's, I think, going really well. Seems to be going smooth, but this will not impact stay-at-home orders or other directions included in the governor's executive order. Just want to make that clear for everyone.
Any other comments? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Begic,
Yes.
Commissioner Coonan,
Yes.
Herrick,
Yes.
Ryder,
Yes.
Lutz,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes,
and Durancheck.
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Thank you, ma'am.
Resolution number 2020-92, the 2020-2021 Crime Victim Rights Grant. I move that resolution.
Support.
Support, Begic.
We have motion and support. Any comments? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Coonan,
Yes.
Herrick,
Yes.
Ryder,
Yes.
Lutz,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Begic,
Yes.
and Durancheck.
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Thank you,
Resolution
ma'am.
Resolution number 2020-93, the Victims of Crime Act Grant. I move that resolution.
Support.
We have motion and support. Any comments? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Herrick,
Yes.
Ryder,
Yes.
Lutz,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Begic,
Yes.
Coonan,
Yes.
and Durancheck.
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Thank you, ma'am.
Resolution number 2020-94, the Blue Cross Blue Shield Inmate Services Contract. I move that resolution.
Support.
We have motion and support. Any comments? Roll call vote, please.
Starting with Commissioner Ryder, please.
Yes.
Lutz,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Begic,
Yes.
Coonan,
Yes.
Herrick,
Yes.
and Chair Durancheck.
Yes.
Yes?
Meeting.
We lost them.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. 7 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
That's my video.
Yes. More bandwidth up there, up north.
There we go. Come on. Yeah, thanks. Come on, Vaughn. We're not out in the boonies.
Resolution number 2020-95, the MDOC Community Corrections Program for fiscal year 2021 grant application. I move that resolution.
Support.
We have motion and support. Any comments? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Lutz,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Begic,
Yes.
Coonan,
Yes.
Herrick,
Yes.
Ryder,
Yes.
and Durancheck.
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Thank you, ma'am.
Resolution number 2020-96, the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission grant renewal for 2020-2021. I move that resolution.
Support.
We have motion and support. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Krieger,
Yes.
Commissioner Begic,
Yes.
Commissioner Coonan,
Yes.
Herrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Ryder,
Yes.
Commissioner Lutz,
Yes.
and Chair Durancheck.
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Thank you, ma'am.
Resolution number 2020-97, the Civic Arena Second Compressor Project. I move that resolution.
Support.
We have motion and support. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Begic,
Yes.
Commissioner Coonan,
Yes.
Herrick,
Yes.
Ryder,
Yes.
Lutz,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Durancheck.
Yes.
Vote would be 7 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Thank you, ma'am.
Resolution number 2020-98, the Region 7 Letter of Intent for fiscal year 2020, 2021 funding. I move that resolution.
Support.
We have motion and support. Roll call vote, please.
Coonan,
Yes.
Herrick,
Yes.
Ryder,
Yes.
Lutz,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Begic,
Yes.
and Durancheck.
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Resolution number 2020-99, the acceptance of donations from Unity of Bay City and the K. Kuby Memorial. I move that resolution.
Support.
We have motion and support. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Herrick,
Did you say yes?
Herrick, okay.
Yes.
Ryder,
Yes.
Lutz,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Begic,
Yes.
Coonan,
Yes.
and Chair Durancheck.
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Resolution number 2020-100, the Center Ridge Arms PHA Annual 5-Year Plan 2020 to 2024. I move that resolution.
Excuse me? There is a revised resolution sent to the commissioners. So you'd be voting on that one. It was emailed to you prior to the meeting.
Got it.
Just a slight language
You
change.
got it.
Support. Does the resolution title change, or are we still good with that?
No, the number, everything stayed the same. The resolved is we're just receiving the plan and approving a 45-day public review period. And no funding or anything else. They'll come back in 45 days for the board to actually adopt the plan.
So we're receiving this, correct?
Receiving it and allowing a 45-day public review, yes.
Okay. All right. There we have it.
We have motion. Did we have a support? Oh,
Yes.
yes, ma'am.
We need a
Support.
support, please.
I did.
Support Begic.
Thank you.
We have motion and support. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Starting with Commissioner Ryder, please.
Yes.
Lutz,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Begic,
Yes.
Coonan,
Yes.
Herrick,
Yes.
and Durancheck, please.
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Thank you, ma'am.
Resolution number 2020-101, the payables, the general fund. I move that resolution.
Support.
We have motion and support. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Starting with Commissioner Lutz,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Begic,
Yes.
Coonan,
Yes.
Herrick,
Yes.
Ryder,
Yes.
and Chair Durancheck.
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
This next one doesn't have a number, but it's a $5,000 funding request for pickleball courts at Carroll Park, as referred from the 4/14/2020 board meeting. I'll move this resolution.
Support.
We have motion and support. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Krieger,
Yes.
Begic,
Yes.
Coonan,
Yes.
Herrick,
Yes.
Ryder,
Yes.
Lutz,
Yes.
and Chair Durancheck.
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Thank you, ma'am.
From the finance department, these will be items to be received. The Analysis of the general fund equity for 2020. We'll take them separately. That one first. So I move that to receive.
Support.
We have motion and support. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Begic,
Yes.
Coonan,
Yes.
Herrick,
Yes.
Ryder,
Yes.
Lutz,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
and Chair Durancheck.
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
And I'll also make a motion to receive the update regarding the executive, actually, if I can say it, the executive directive number 2007-11. That motion to receive.
Support.
We have motion and support. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Starting with Commissioner Coonan,
Yes.
Herrick,
Yes.
Ryder,
Yes.
Lutz,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Begic,
Yes.
and Durancheck.
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, that's all from the Ways and Means Committee, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Herrick. Personnel and Human Services, Tom Ryder, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have Resolution 2020-102, vacancies in the prosecutor's office. I would move this resolution.
Support.
We have motion and support. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Herrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Ryder,
Yes.
Commissioner Lutz,
Yes.
Commissioner Krieger,
Yes.
Commissioner Begic,
Yes.
Commissioner Coonan,
Yes.
Chair Durancheck.
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
We have Resolution 2020-103, vacancies in 911 Central Dispatch, Department on Aging, and Mosquito Control. I would move this resolution.
Support.
We have motion and support. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Ryder,
Yes.
Commissioner Lutz,
Yes.
Commissioner Krieger,
Yes.
Commissioner Begic,
Yes.
Commissioner Coonan,
Yes.
Commissioner Herrick,
Yes.
Chair Durancheck.
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Thank you, ma'am. Are you, that's all you have?
For you today, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Board of Commissioners, Michael Lutz, Commissioner Lutz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today, I bring Resolution 2020-104. It's the reports of the county executive. I move to receive.
Support.
We have motion and support. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Lutz,
Yes.
Commissioner Krieger,
Yes.
Commissioner Begic,
Yes.
Commissioner Coonan,
Yes.
Commissioner Herrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Ryder,
Yes.
and Chair Durancheck.
Yes,
7 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, I can go down to D and bring forth Resolution 2020-105, which is the support for elder abuse legislation by Commissioners, brought forth by Commissioners Krieger, Coonan, and Ryder. I move that resolution.
Support.
We have motion and support. Discussion. Thank you for bringing that forward, Commissioners. Very, very worthwhile and something that needs to happen. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Krieger,
Yes.
Commissioner Begic,
Yes.
Commissioner Coonan,
Yes.
Commissioner Herrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Ryder,
Yes.
Commissioner Lutz,
Yes.
Chair Durancheck.
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, that's all I have from the Board of Commissioners.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner Lutz. Reports of the county officials and the county executive. Anything, Mr. Barsha?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before the board concludes, I know we probably, if there's an opportunity, would like to hear from our Health Department Director, Joel Strauss, on, an update on what's going on in his department. I do want to compliment Joel and his entire team, and also our Emergency Management Director, of course, Ryan Mans and Chris Zworski. They're quite a dynamic team, and I know that a lot is getting done that isn't real obvious to the public. But I also want to thank all of the county employees, the wonderful work ethic that they have working from home, the remote work that's being accomplished is providing services to Bay County residents and taxpayers, even as we trudge through this pandemic. So the county is providing those services, and I want everyone to know how much I appreciate, and I know I speak for the board and all the elected officials, I'm sure, in thanking the employees and the staff we have for the great job that they're all doing. And I know Joel.
I have Joel under new business for comment, so.
Yeah,
Just,
and the other thing I'll mention, Mr. Chair, is that we are in the final stages of having a re-engagement plan for the county offices if we decide to open on May 18th. And so that we're prepared to handle the public engagement that we expect after this long closure of the public facilities in the county government. So yeah, we're looking forward to re-engaging, and what we have is a very good plan to protect our staff from being exposed to the virus and anything else, as well as protecting the taxpayers and the public who come in to transact business with our staff, and the county government. So that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
all right. Thank you. Unfinished business? Under new business, we have a couple items here. Commissioner Krieger, and I'm assuming all the commissioners received some emails concerning campground reopening a couple days earlier so they can take advantage of Memorial Weekend. Mr. Krieger or Commissioner Krieger, did you also receive some?
Yeah, I've got 5 that came to me asking to see whether or not there's anything we can do to encourage Lansing and giving them the opportunity to open on May 22nd. From what I can tell, they plan on exceeding the guidelines put down by the CDC. And I mean, this is a very valuable source of income for all of us. All the businesses have been affected, but it would be nice if we could somehow get the ear in Lansing to get them the ability to start early on the 22nd of May for private campgrounds and parks. So I don't know if sending a resolution would be in order, or a phone call to Lansing, maybe, Mr. Barsha certainly still has the ear of Lansing. It would be nice if somehow we would have something formally from us commissioners in Bay County requesting that May 22nd be a date for opening.
Yeah, Commissioner Krieger, I'd be happy to weigh in with the governor and encourage her to consider lifting that restriction so that people could enjoy that Memorial Day holiday. I know it's an annual event that families really look forward to, and as you say, Ernie, it would stimulate the economy a little bit in terms of some of the product that would be bought and the food and beverages that would go along with opening the park a little early. I'll weigh in on behalf of the board, since we may not have an opportunity to pass resolution in time.
Thank you.
Joel, do you have any input on this as far as if they did it safe, CDC recommendations and that, we'd like to hear from you.
Well, obviously the decision to allow camping would be from the governor's office. My immediate consideration, and one thing that everyone would need to consider on this is that most campgrounds have congregate facilities for bathing and bathrooms and toilet facilities. So that being said, and the virus can easily be spread in these types of environments, is that there needs to be more than adequate plans for cleaning, disinfection, and sanitation of these facilities. And if not, they can easily spread the virus.
If I could respond.
Thank you. Commissioner Coonan had his hand up first. Go ahead,
Sure.
Commissioner Coonan.
Thank you. I believe when the stay-home is going possibly be lifted is the 28th of May, if I'm not correct, or if I'm not mistaken. But I do a lot of reading, because if I'm reading or I'm watching TV, and one of the concerns that they have is folks from downstate where there's a lot of contagion, folks that's where the hot spots are downstate. They go up north to rural areas where there's not a lot of coronavirus, that at least that we're aware of, because nobody tests anyway. That's probably the governor's concern. And that's not her concern. That's what's coming from the scientific community. So, hey, I got a little place that I would love to have open because I lose money every day. And but you know what? Just because you open, don't mean people are going to come in, because there are a lot of people out there that they're watching the news just like we are, and they know there is no cure, and they don't know how they can get infected. Nobody knows how you can get infected because there's no damn testing. So I understand the campers situation, but I still understand the governors as well, because all you need to do is have some folks from downstate go up there and infect those people. They don't have the hospitals and the facilities to care for a lot of people. So it's kind of a catch-22. I'd love to see the state open up, but somehow you just can't get into a situation of where you have herd immunity, because when you have that, you don't know how many people are have been immune through having the virus and overcoming that you can really cause a lot of harm to a lot of people. So I'm anxious to get back to work. I'm anxious to see people. I'm anxious to do all that, but at what cost? The costs are, and there are a lot of people smarter than me that are, well, maybe a little bit smarter. That's a joke. All right.
That much.
I got it. Commissioner Krieger, you were next.
They're coming up with this information. I'd love to see State Park full. I'd love to see all the parks full. I'd love to see people moving, but that's one of the reasons why things are closed down, is because you don't want to transmit the virus. I'm anxious more so than most because, my livelihood and people that work for us, their livelihood depends on that as well. So it's kind of a catch-22, but I just wanted to give my input. I got those emails as well, and a couple were in my district, and I understand that, but you got to look at the big picture as well. You can open up, and then you get a lot of nobody knows what, you get a lot of additional infections, and then where do you go from there? Then you're at herd immunity where everybody's going to be in it for themselves. And I think as a commissioner that represents lots of people, I think we should be looking out for all our people, not just because I want to do something.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Krieger.
Yep, and I'm sure everybody else has seen these messages or emails, and I felt pretty comfortable with the assurances of what they were going to do to protect each other, and following the CDC guidelines and making sure gathering places like the pool and different activities would be eliminated. And just like the state parks, they've already eliminated any of their normal gatherings or activities at the park through the month of June and maybe into July. So, I mean, they're trying to be very cautious, and I can appreciate where they're coming from. And like Kim said, even if they say, all right, everybody can go out, I don't think everybody's gonna go out because there's still that level of not knowing. And the last thing we want to do is expose one of our parents or older friends to this virus and then end up losing them. So that's being what I got to say. Thanks, Mike.
All right.
Vaughn.
Commissioner Begic.
So I talked to the county executive before about Memorial Day services. So the veterans have been asking me, well, do we usually have it at the county building? Cemeteries, it's outside. So I don't know, maybe the county executive can ask the governor's office about that too. Now, these are older gentlemen a lot of times too, so I'm a little concerned about that issue also. But it is outside. So I don't know if what Joel thought about it, or having a gathering at the county building. It's usually about 30, 40 people. They have a short ceremony. Any thoughts or opinions from anybody?
Joel, would you like to, or?
Sure. Well, I think if you hold it outside, if you've got adequate distancing, if you give people the opportunity to mask, to wear masks, you can certainly have a ceremony outside. There shouldn't be any reason why you shouldn't be able to do that.
It'd be up to them if they want to do it too. So I'll have to
Yes.
ask them if they're willing to do it.
I think distancing and masking are kind of the key elements there.
Thank you.
Commissioner Coonan.
Thank you, sir. I see Mr. O'Shea just got into the meeting, and Pat, we did vote on that resolution for the $5,000. It was unanimously passed, so good luck on your fundraising, and hopefully that you'll be able to provide that recreation for all folks in the community.
Boy, thank you. I appreciate it. Sorry I got on late, but I appreciate everybody, and I will work hard to get that money in. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Pat.
All right, next on new business, I'd like an update on COVID from Joe Strauss. If you have any new information or anything you'd like to share, Joe.
Yeah, I don't know, Julie, if we can share my screen, I can actually I can provide you with the dashboard to give you some greater detail, if you'd like to do that. If not, I can just go to the...
You should be able to share your screen now.
Okay. Hang on a second.
Taskbar at the bottom.
I'm not seeing it, Julie, so.
So there should be a green button that share, or button next to that says
Okay.
share screen.
There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay. You should see in front of you. Whoops, not that. Sorry. You should see in front of you the dashboard that is normally found on the county webpage, and this is on our county coronavirus webpage. As of today, this afternoon, we have 212 positive cases of coronavirus here in Bay County, and we have 10 fatalities as a result of that. As you can see here, the majority of our cases occur within the city of Bay City, and the outlying and the surrounding areas as well. You'll notice that in the outlying rural areas, there are less cases. You want a comparison of where we are compared to other counties in the area. Saginaw County has quite a bit of number of cases. They have 829 with almost 90 fatalities. Excuse me. Tuscola County has 162 cases with 17 fatalities. And Midland has 67 cases with 8 fatalities. So all in all, we're doing fairly well in comparison to the other counties that are involved here. The number of cases per day has actually risen quite a bit in the last few days. We actually had a jump of about 10 cases in the last day, almost 10 cases. We've actually rose about 50 or 60 cases in the last week. It's for a couple of different reasons. Number one, there is an expansion of testing that's taking place within the community. You can go to different facilities, whether it's Great Lakes Bay health centers on Monitor Road. They have drive-through testing, and you don't need a doctor's order for that. You can actually just go get the testing done there. You can go to the McLaren base site at Uptown. They also have kind of a drive-through thing. There are also a number of tests that are being provided by different providers in the community, different doctors' offices. And those that I'm referring to specifically here are the PCR tests. There is a variety of antibody tests out there. We are cautioning folks out there at this point in time that you need to be careful with the antibody test, because while the antibodies test will show whether or not that there's a presence or absence for antibodies for coronavirus, it's not necessarily differentiated between specific COVID-19 related coronavirus or coronavirus that's can be associated with the common cold and some of the other things out there. I do want to answer a question that came up at the EOC meeting yesterday by Commissioner Krieger about the number of deaths in comparison to the number of deaths in a typical year for flu and pneumonia. And the answer on that is, quite honestly, is that right now we have 10 deaths, and those 10 deaths have occurred in the last 2 months. On average in Bay County, we have about 23 deaths per year to flu and pneumonia. So as you can see right now, we're about halfway there. Now, the other thing to take into consideration is that's 10 deaths in 2 months. So if you extrapolate at this point in time and we see more cases, we are on par to have at least 60 deaths per year if we can't adequately find these and stop the virus on time. So that's quite a bit more than the 23 that we typically see. In 2019, there was about 35 deaths due to flu and pneumonia. And as you can tell too, these deaths typically fluctuate from year to year. Another good indicator would be how many flu and pneumonia deaths were on average in Saginaw County. And that typically in that time period of 2013 to 2018 was about 47 deaths. They're almost up to 90 deaths for coronavirus as well in the span of 2 months as well. So that's the comparison between the two. And coronavirus, as you can see, is it's much more virulent. It can spread much more easily than pneumonia can or influenza can. And it also has a greater toll, especially on the more vulnerable populations. And we're seeing with our 10 cases here, a good number of them are actually coming from nursing homes and from the senior population as well, and people with underlying health conditions, as we had mentioned before.
Hey,
So,
thank you very much. I've been getting a lot of compliments that I need to pass on to you folks at the health department. They really like this new dashboard. Everything, all the information is right there. So good job on that.
thank you. In addition, I just want to mention one thing too, is that we are working with the Chamber of Commerce to put together a website that will be released within the next week about reopening Bay County, and will give guidance to businesses and organizations as we start the process to reopen again.
Commissioner Coonan, you had a question?
Yeah, Joe, I got a question. The number 212 infected and 38 recovered, how do you figure that? I mean, where do you get that recovery from?
Okay, so one of the most important elements in our work with the coronavirus is contact tracing. And to find out, number one, we get in touch with people that are tested positive, and then we try to find out who their close contacts are. So when we contact a person that tests positive, number one, we want to know what their current status is. Are they symptomatic? How sick they are? We try to provide guidance to that. We also work with a hospital if they become hospitalized, and we try to track their progress through there. It's a long and time-consuming process, as you can imagine. But the other part of that too is, if once we get the contacts, their close contacts, we try to get in touch with these folks and determine if they are close contacts, and number two, if they should be quarantined, and if they're symptomatic, furthermore, should they be isolated. So with that being said, as far as determining how many cases are resolved, that's just a matter, it's a product of our efforts and the state's efforts in getting in touch with these folks that are considered positive, and determining if they've recovered or not. There's a lot of lag time with that, because it's a very much like I said, it's very much a resource intense driven process, and it takes a lot of time and effort, and we're constantly moving on to new cases. As you can see today, we've had 50 or 60 more cases in the past week. That's on average, you get about anywhere from 6 to 12 to 20 contacts per person that is positive. So there's a lot of legwork that needs to be done, a lot of investigation too.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Krieger, I think you had a question.
No, I'm good. I think Von Begic.
Yeah.
All right, Commissioner Begic.
Yes, so nursing homes, my mother being in one of them, I have been following. She's at Bay Shores, but there is a website that the Department of Health State has out where you can check nursing homes, and we have people in nursing homes about how many cases for the workers and how many cases for the residents. So if you have somebody in a nursing home, there's a way that you can track and see.
Sure, that information is not always up to date too.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems that we've had. We've actually done pretty extensive outreach to the nursing homes, and are in daily contact with many of them. So in addition to this, I might add too, is that the state police has gotten into the picture as well, and they've also contacted nursing homes. And in some cases, they've actually done extensive testing through some of these nursing homes. Sometimes this is done after the fact, that they do this and then they tell us afterwards. But we're trying to work with them as much as possible so that we can coordinate efforts.
I agree. Their data, they show 11 cases in Bay County, only one nursing home with the 11 cases. And I know you've mentioned before that there's more than one nursing home that has cases. So yes, the data is behind.
Anyone else? Thank you. Good job, Joel.
Thanks.
Anyone else for anything else under new business? Commissioner Lutz.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to try to bring this forth. I've been trying to do it for 3 months now. Has to do with animal control. I'd like to make a motion that we expend $10,000 to get some renderings, some drawings, some preliminary estimates as far as what it would take to go ahead and fix up the animal control facility. I know we do have some discrepancies there. I did some preliminary numbers myself. But I'd like to make that motion and that we expend $10,000 and allow the Administrative Services Director to hire that work done. And I believe our limit is $5,000 for not bidding it out. So I'd like to add the clause in there that the Bay County Board of Commissioners determines that we don't have time to go out for an RFP, RFQ, that we can get this work done. So that would be my motion.
I'll support the motion. Begic.
We have motion and support. Any
Let me follow
discussion?
up with some other information, if I may, Mr. Chairman. Because if we
Yes,
don't
sir.
come up, you know, we proposed in July to put forth a millage to cover the expenditures of upgrading the facility and to do the yearly cost of operation. But if we don't come up with some ideas, some plans that we can bring to the people after we approve that in July, then we have a fairly good chance that people aren't going to want to go ahead and approve the millage to cover the animal control. So that's why I'm proposing that we do this at this time, to give any engineering firm time to do that and give us some numbers before our July meeting.
Commissioner Coonan, you are next.
Yeah, I think we should kind of do it the other way around, is figure out how much of a millage increase that the public would be willing to realistically vote for. And if we could come up with that number, whether it's a half a mil or whatever it would be, and how much that particular revenue would be generated annually, and then you would be able to have dollar amount that you know would be used to expand. I'm talking about just expanding the facility. And before we spend any money, you know, I think if you put it on the ballot that this is for the expansion, you don't have to go into a whole lot of specifics. This is for the expansion of the facility. And then if it's passed, then you got the money to do whatever, you know, you'll know how much money you got and what you'll have to do in order to, you know, what type of an expansion you would have to, or that you would put out there. So I don't like spending money without knowing, you know, spend money, then it gets voted down, then you kind of wasted the money. Let's just put it on the ballot, let the public decide if they're willing to support it, and then you'll know what kind of money you're going to have in order to do the expansion.
Thank you. Mr. Barsha?
Yeah,
Mr. Barsha.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to say that I think, you know, I hope that the voters, you know, after we've come through this pandemic and a lot of people are feeling financially stressed, that they don't think the county is piling on with all these millage requests to increase their taxes. The library system, the Bay County Medical Care Facility, possibly the animal shelter. You know, I think the last 3 years, we've done a pretty good job, you know, with what we have to work with federal and state grants. And the other issue, I think, Commissioner Lutz, is once you put it on the ballot, there's going to have to be some effort made to educate the public as to what the money would be used for. Why would, they need to know if they voluntarily increase their property taxes, what is going to change? How are things going to be different? And I think we have to have those answers for them before they vote, if you're looking at a November election. So I don't, it's up to the board, whatever you think you want to do. I know in the past, we've had difficulty getting any, support for financial investments out at the animal shelter. So, but I would remind you that if you put an ill-conceived proposal on the ballot in November and it goes down to defeat, you're probably looking at 6 to 8 years before you can ask again, because the public will remember. If you just keep coming back with a millage election, it irritates them. They get very upset. And typically they don't relent, and just after the third or fourth attempt on the ballot, just go ahead and approve it. I'll just say, I think, a lot of the festivals are being canceled because some of the organizers are having trouble finding the financial resources to, support even our festivals and parades this summer. But, I don't want to weigh in too much. I think it's up to the board. But I just hope that we have a plan going forward. We don't throw something on and make some improvements. We don't have staff to service, the improvements too. It's something that you all have to think about.
All right, Commissioner Herrick, did you have something?
I did not.
Anyone else? Commissioner Krieger.
Thank you. Maybe we could get a little bit of comment from Bob Redmond. I'm sure that you've looked at some of what Mike's talking about. And when Kim mentions, what's that money going to be spent for? I'm hearing maybe two things. One is, well, we're going to do an expansion. And then I'm also hearing, well, maybe it's also going to be used for daily, could be payroll, could be anything. We need to be a little more specific on just what it is that's going to be covered. So Bob, if you could maybe give us 2 cents on it, that'd be great. You're on, you got to hit your mute button. You're muted out, Bob.
You're muted out, Bob. Hold on, we're working on it.
There you go.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes. Go ahead.
The animal control building definitely needs an expansion, and I don't know how they've been keeping the dogs and cats in there when they don't even have enough kennels. Just depends on how much they're going to need. And, the reason Commissioner Luss is asking from $5,000 to $10,000 is just so that they have a drawing and a one-page explanation of everything they're going to be doing that they want to do. So that's the purpose of the $5,000 to $10,000, was to actually produce those drawings and to show exactly is going to be in that project. And that way they can be shown to the public exactly what it's for, because you'll have a picture that'll go in the paper and the TV stations and a list of exactly what is going to be done. And I think an explanation to the public for what the condition of the animal control center is, they will be positive about passing it. Just this month, a number of communities, I don't know if you've seen it, had several millage ballots on, and I think maybe one didn't pass, the rest of them all passed. I was concerned earlier about the same thing that Commissioner Coonan and others were concerned about, whether the people will pass it or not. Well, you got to ask the question before you get an answer.
Well, you better prepare, Bob, to explain it too.
Yeah.
What is it going to go for? How many staff are going to be employed? You can't just build something and then abandon it.
Right.
Anyone else? We have
Ernie.
motion. Commissioner Krieger.
Yep, thank you. So this millage that we would be asking for isn't just for us physically changing the structures, it's also going to be money for operation then. Is that correct?
Partly, but they really have to have an expansion and they really need a ton of kennels.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lutz?
Ton of kennels. Need more
Yeah,
kennels.
just let me expand a little bit. Any millage that we would go for would cover any changes that we make, plus all the operating expenses per year also. And if we expand the facility, yes, Jim, we would probably, most likely, have to expand staff. Okay, that's part of what I'm trying to, we need to come up with a plan, and I'm trying to get allocated $10,000 to come up with that plan. And working with Craig and the engineer would include staffing and everything else that goes along with that facility, so that when we do ask for the millage in July, we will have a concrete number of what we're going to ask for. You know, much like what Kim Kuhn is saying, you know, my being an engineer, my preliminary figures working out came up to a little over $1 million project. But if we go up to $1.3 million in a project, which would be even farther, a lot farther than what my initial thoughts were, and my thoughts only came from working with Craig and Kristen walking through the facility one day.
Yeah, apparently you went through one day, you did a walkthrough. It's the only
Yeah.
time since you got.
Jim,
Yeah.
Mr. Commissioner Lutz has the floor.
All right.
So, you know, mine were only preliminary things, just to come up with some preliminary numbers. If we go, and when we ask for millage, if we use a $1.3 million project, which is, you know, $250,000 more or 25% more than what my original plans were, okay? That still only equates with the current operating cost of the facility of a 0.3 mil increase, okay? And a 0.3 mil earning would be $30 on a $100,000 taxable house per year.
Okay.
So we're not going to be asking for a huge amount of money per household. I mean, if your household is going to be at 50,000, then you'd be paying $15, okay, per year. So, but we need to have some concrete drawings, some initial plans, some thoughts put into it as far as what we're doing, and that's why I'm trying to get the $10,000 approved to get that work done. In preparation for us to bring forth the millage in July. So.
Thank you, Commissioner Lutz. I've got a little input in this too. I agree with Commissioner Lutz that we cannot go for a millage. And as Mr. Redmond says, we've got to have some kind of a plan and show them some drawings, and $10,000 to try and get this accomplished seems to me as a real, you know, it's a good buy. It's a good value to the taxpayers because they're going to know what they're getting into. But also, you know, we're looking at 0.3 mils. You know, it's unreasonable. We'll even pass up north here. Everyone I've talked to said, hey, this is what you guys promised. You promised you were going to do something out there. And we did. I mean, we all did. So, any other questions?
Yeah.
Comment? Mr. Barsha?
Yeah, I don't hear the same thing. Well, when I've been in Northern Bay County, Mr. Chairman, they want also an animal center in Northern Bay County. They're going to support. That's what they've told me. But I just really don't know why. It sounds like you're apparently all set to put this on the November ballot. You just need a picture. You need a picture to show somebody that there'll be an improvement. I think what's more important is being able to explain the amount of money that will be spent, what it will be used for, and and how it's going to improve things at the animal shelter. One of the, well, I'm not going to get into it, but more than one of you wanted to shut the animal shelter down. Now we have a 0.3 mil request, which maybe make a minor modification, but how many years are you proposing to levy the millage?
4 year.
1 year?
4.
4.
4 years.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call vote, please. We have a resolution or a motion and support, correct?
Okay, we'll be starting with Commissioner Begic. Commissioner Begic, please. Commissioner Begic?
He's on mute.
Yes. I was muted.
Okay, that's a yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Coonan?
No.
Commissioner Herrick?
No.
Commissioner Ryder?
No.
Commissioner Lutz?
Yes.
Commissioner Krieger?
No.
Chair Durancheck?
Yes.
3 yeas, 4 nays. Motion defeated.
Okay.
All right. Any other new business? Miscellaneous? Announcements? Anyone have any announcements? Appointments, 2020. In June, Library Board. October, Land Bank Authority and Department of Health and Human Services. In November, Building Authority. In December, Department on Aging, 4 terms expiring districts 2, 4, 6, and an at-large. There is no need for a closed session, I'm assuming.
There is not.
Okay, very good. Motion to adjourn is always in order.
I'll move.
Support.
We have motion and support. Roll call vote.
Krieger and Herrick. Commissioner Coonan?
Yes.
Herrick? Commissioner Herrick?
He's probably already adjourned.
No,
Commissioner
I'm
Herrick?
here.
Okay.
Here.
He's
I
there.
said yes.
Your vote to adjourn, Commissioner Herrick? Yes, no?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner
Okay,
Ryder?
all right.
Yes.
Commissioner Lutz?
Yeah.
Now I'm with him.
Commissioner Krieger?
Yes, of course.
Commissioner Begic?
Yes.
Chair Durancheck?
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays. Motion is carried and meeting adjourned.